Hello, and welcome to Connecting Jewish Grandparents, the Grand Plan podcast. And I'm thrilled that you're here. Usually, we come together to look at the weekly Torah portion and moments of inspiration and transformation for Jewish grandparents. But as I'm sure you know, it is very almost Pesach, and I don't think anybody has time to think about anything that is not related to Pesach. I usually, while I'm preparing, look for classes, Divrei Torah, things to inspire me through the Seder. And so, what I've tried to compile for you today is some of that. So, if you are getting ready for Passover, if you are shopping or planning or cleaning or cooking, maybe you have an earpiece in to listen. I hope that that's my inspiration in making this is that this helps you in the preparation for Pesach and then for Seder night to have some inspiration. I don't know what your Seder looks like, if it's something that people are sharing words of Torah, if we're just looking at the text, if we're just looking at the grandchildren. But I want you to have some intentionality and some deeper meaning of what is happening in the text in Seder night. So I'll also say I hope that you're looking forward to a family-filled Pesach. Unfortunately, my mother-in-law can't make it to us, so I do know that great pain of not having the whole family together. It's hard. And even when everyone is together, it's still hard. Put that out there too. Um, and as long as I'm, thinking about things that are important to me, this Pesach, right after Pesach, I am excited, thrilled, and a little nervous to embark on the workshop of becoming the grandparent you want to be. And I hope you join me in this series where we will be looking at each of the Avot and Imot, the matriarchs and the patriarchs, what they model for us and how we can become better grandparents based on what they've left us, the legacy that they have, and using that to form our own joyous Jewish legacy. I guess with that, I'll embark on some bites of purpose, power, I don't know, for Seder night. I say bites because everybody likes to focus on the food of Pesach, and I definitely don't blame them. It's both challenging and fun to switch up the menu, to look at traditional foods and new foods and bringing it all together. But these are more Torah bites. And on that note, I'll start with what we are eating. No matter what it is that you've added to the menu, you're going to have matzah, right? That's what this festival is partially all about. And I just want to look at when you write the word matzot in Hebrew, right? Mem, tzadi, vav, taf. And you were to write the word mitzvot, there's just one letter difference. If you're reading quickly, it's even hard to notice. Wait, did you just say matzot or did you say mitzvot? When we just say them in parlance, it might not sound like they're the same word, like matzah and mitzvah don't really sound the same. But when they're written, they very much are almost the same word. The difference is one vav. It doesn't seem like a big difference at all. And you know why? Because it isn't. It isn't because the whole foundation, the whole idea of doing a mitzvah, of fulfilling a commandment, is matzah is just one of them. But when we think about how we make matzah, we're running to do it. You have to do it in 18 minutes, right? From the very beginning to the very end, you've got to go fast, fast, fast to make sure it's done. You have to make sure it's done properly and intentionally. And that's the same with every one of our mitzvot. When we think that when we know the Torah has 613 mitzvot commandments in it, the truth is that they are mostly not in the narrative text of Bereshit and Shemot, Genesis and Exodus, and they really start ramping up after the Exodus experience that we're celebrating at Pesach. And this, I guess, moment of having matzot at the leaving in the Exodus process is really just about the time that we're transforming into a nation that needs commandments to be able to be a just society and to serve the Holy One. So while you're eating the matzah, the matzot, think about the mitzvot, the commandments, and how we relate to them. And you might not like matzah, and you might not like all the commandments we have, but it's still part of our lives of interacting with society. Ben Adam lechavero, people to other people, and Ben Adam lemakom, between us and the Almighty. All right. When we look at these, that was the first point I wanted to share, matzah versus mitzvah. The second piece that I wanted to look at is, I also was going to say at the beginning, this isn't all related to grandparents at all, but you might have already turned it off because you're not a grandparent still. What I want to look at is the elements of the Seder just as a whole. I'm not going to go through all 14 steps at this moment. But the bulk of the text of the Seder, the story that we tell, is the Maggid, and that's this telling of the past, of how we were slaves and how the Holy One took us out. So it's a celebration of the past, right? That's a fact we all know. Seder night, we're reflecting of how we were slaves and we became free. The past. The Shulchan Orech, the meal, the part that you're really worried about the most right now, because what are you going to serve and how's it going to come out and what about that is the present. That is the very physical process of ingesting the food. You're not more present than you are in the Shulchan Orech when you're sitting together and eating together and chatting together. That is very much the present. And then at the end of the Seder, it concludes with the Nirtza, the future. That's when we sing L'Shana Haba'a B'Yerushalayim, next year in Jerusalem. It is being intentional, thoughtful of what happens after tonight. What are our hopes and our dreams for the future? So we have Maggid, the past, what happened in Egypt and how we left. The present, the eating together, the guests, the company, and the future next year in Jerusalem. And that's what the grandparent piece we talk about is all about. How do we take from the past, live it in the present, and be working to celebrate the future? We're always about that, but this night, Seder night, Jews all around the world are working intentionally towards that process of celebrating the past, holding the present, and working towards the future. And that future drivenness, that Leshana Haba B'Yerushalayim, we're closer than ever before. Now, obviously, you can say, like, of course, we've moved through time, so we're closer to the future than ever. But the hand of the Almighty, when my grandparents were children and they were saying next year in Jerusalem, there was no land of Israel. So, what could it be for my grandchildren next? That future is so close. We are in a messianic age. All right, you can sit and digest that for a very long time. But I will move on to the next point because I didn't really talk much about the grandchildren in their active sense. What's the first big moment for the grandchildren at Seder? It's Ma Nishtana. If you had asked me, oh, why is Ma Nishtana on the Seder? I would say, oh, it got added to keep the kids engaged from the beginning. So, because children like to ask questions, but that's why it was put in. It, and I might have thought it was a relatively recent addition. Ma Nishtana is actually from the time of the temple in Jerusalem, okay? From the time of Beit Sheni, when the Korban Pesach, right? The actual Pesach, the offering was brought. Like we're talking about not the original Pesach, because it's not when we left Egypt, but we're talking about the Second Temple period still, when Passover was celebrated. Ma Nishtana was part of it. It was at the end, not at the beginning. So yes, it was added at the beginning it was moved to the beginning to keep children more engaged, but it was there the whole time. And it was a little bit different because the parents asked the questions and the kids answered them based on the experiences they'd had intentionally at Seder night at the temple. Right? We understand like they had made the sacrifice of the lamb at the temple and they had eaten it and they'd had it with matzah and bitter herbs and they had dipped twice and they ate it reclining at the temple. We don't have the temple today, but we're still doing the same thing that was done Then today, at your Pesach Seder, wherever you are in the world, you took this incredible piece of holiness, of authentic Jewish families in the time of the temple, and you're doing it with your Jewish family wherever you are. So the Ma Nishtana isn't just a chance for your beautiful littlest humans at the table to stand up and proudly share what they've been working on. It's a piece of holiness that has been said since the time of the Second Temple. All around the world, Jews are sharing this question asking that is of the ultimate level of holiness. So appreciate it for more than just the cuteness and your pride and their ability to pronounce the words. Think about what it was like when you were the one asking the questions. And remember that it's been every generation before, all the way back to the Second Temple period. That's something to mull over for a while too, because I really find that completely mind-blowing. All right. The next one, I guess I just should have said this. I'm going to share with you 5 things that I find mind-blowing about Pesach, and I hope that they are equally meaningful to you. And the next one is really pretty personal for me. Okay, so as we're moving through the Maggid text, we have the 10 plagues. It's, fun and exciting, and maybe you're doing something interesting at your Seder with, holding things up or acting things out or throwing ping pong balls or you made origami frogs. Like, I hope you've done something to make it exciting and engaging for the other people at the table. Or maybe you're not, and maybe you're just, you know, Ashkenazim taking out the well, Sephardim did too, I guess, I think, of the drips of wine with the 10 plagues. Sephardim pour out a whole bottle of wine. After that, we go through a series of calculations of what was the magnitude of the plagues, right? We've got Rabbi Yossi Galili and Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Akiva, right? And they're like, no, but each one, it was just the finger of God, but when it's the hand of God, it's times 5. Right. And they're like, no, no. So really the magnitude of the plagues was so enormous that, right? And their level of contemplation and conjecture for the grandeur of the acts of the Almighty for saving the Israelite nation. It's really beautiful. And then right after that, we come to Dayenu, the song of It Would Have Been Enough. We would have been grateful if it was just this much, and then you gave us that much more. We would have been grateful if just it ended there, and then you gave us more, and then more. So when we think about the raising the stakes of the plagues, of saying like, no, no, it was actually this amazing what God did. It was actually this level, and we would have been grateful. And then it goes right to, we would have been grateful if it had just been this. So I want to pause on that gratitude moment right now. I live in a war zone. The siren could have gone off at any point while I was recording thus far, and I could just be grateful with that. Dayenu, there was no siren up until however many minutes I am into recording this podcast. But when one sounds, there is a warning. There's a knowledge that a missile's coming. We have the detection of knowing. Dayenu. Then there's an alarm that sounds through, and it goes off through our phones, and we go to our safe rooms. Dayenu, there's a safe room. And I have a safe room in my house. Others have to run to their safe room out of their apartment. But there's one not so far away. Dayenu. Then we have the Iron Dome. When you look at how many missiles have been shot off to destroy, and you look at the rate of injury and destruction. It's Dayenu. It's so Dayenu. There is so much good and so much grandeur. You want to say it's the finger of God, the hand of God. There is so much going on right now to be so grateful for. So it is not just in the times of the Exodus from Egypt. It is right now. And maybe you're not in Israel. Maybe you are looking at it in the news. But wherever you are, go from, wow, these plagues where, frogs were jumping everywhere, to realize that there are these same miraculous moments, not the same, but miraculous moments happening around you wherever you are and appreciate them. Because Dayanim, it would have been enough to just have this, but you have so much more. I I could talk a lot longer, but I want you to get on with all the things you want to do. So I'm going to leave this with a message about the four names of Pesach. Do you know that Pesach has four names? All right. So I keep calling it Pesach, which is in English is what Passover literally means. We also call it Chag HaMatzot, the festival of matzah. Zman Cherutenu, the time of our redemption, of our freedom. And Chag Aviv, the festival of springtime. And in the Northern Hemisphere, no matter what, this festival is always celebrated in the spring. It was strange when I lived in Australia and I discovered it's not Chag Aviv. All right, so those are the four names. What does it mean to you? Okay, it's a 7-day, 8-day festival. Well, each of those names has so much power and potential. That's why it has more than one name. That's why you have more than one name yourself, right? You are whatever your birth name is, and you are also a parent, right? Your mom or your dad. You are mom or you are dad. You are husband or wife. You are grandma or grandpa or whatever amazing bubby, saba, Zadie variation you are. And whatever else you are, in each of those names is a different part of your identity. And part of your identity, I hope you're very proud of and that you work on. So these four names are different parts of the identity of the festival we are entering. So Pesach is acknowledging that the Almighty passed over. I said it's literally Passover, that during the time of the plagues, and that the Almighty did not make us suffer as well. He passed us over in that level of punishment because he has that power. Chag HaMatzot, the matzah is what we did. We did something. We physically made the matzah. We were like, yeah, we're game. We're doing this too. That's our physical effort in ancient times for this festival. Then we have Zman Cherutenu, the redemption, and that's celebrating that the Almighty took us out. But that's, to summarize this holiday in and of itself. And the festival of spring. It always happens now. All right, so why do I keep explaining these names? Because up until now, I was just talking about Seder night. We put a whole lot of effort to what happens in this one incredible, powerful evening. What about the rest of the holiday? What about the after of the holiday? So this is where I encourage you to look at these four names and look at yourself and think about what you can do from them. What do I mean by that? Well, I said it's us doing something. And at the beginning, I talked about matzot versus mitzvot. So what mitzvah can you take on with a more effort, more meaning, more intention? Take it on to begin with. What is it that you can do in the world of matzah, in the world of mitzvah, to be doing more? Okay, that's one possibility to take from Seder night into the week and beyond. Pesach, that was noticing what God did for us in a moment. And that is the sense of gratitude. And where can you be working on more gratitude? And that could be gratitude for the Almighty, but it can be for the world around you, for the people around you. All right? Zman Cherutenu, of our redemption. What are you trapped in? What do you need to work to free yourself from? Is it an addiction to social media? Is it an unhealthy relationship that you're staying in? What is it that you know you need to be freeing yourself of that you can do, that you're gonna do? And Chag Aviv, spring, is when something new is. It's when the world around you is changing, new things are popping up. What new thing are you going to embark on? So I'm not saying you need to do all four. That seems like a lofty undertaking, but if you can, wow. But think about it. What new mitzvah? What new sense of gratitude? What freeing and what new adventure, new endeavor, new thing can you do? If you're not sure what any of those should be, I've got a really simple answer. Join me in becoming the grandparent you want to be. The course is in the show notes, and I'm really so excited. This is a pilot workshop, and it's going to be amazing, and it's going to be transformative. And I really hope that you have the courage to be proactive and to dedicate this time to yourself, to being a better person, to being a different person. I shouldn't say better because I'm pretty sure you're great the way you are, but a more intentional person as a person and as a grandparent. So that's for the course. For you, this Pesach may be a wonderful festival. Have good times with your families because I know it's not easy, but may it be joyous in general. I wrote 2 articles this week, or I published 2 articles this week that I hope you'll take a look at. I'm going to put them in the show notes as well. One is sort of about practical tips of Seder night, and the other is more about the middle generation, me, and what role the grandparents are playing at the Seder. It's a reflection on how amazing my grandparents were for my Pesach Seder. Anyway, have an amazing Pesach. חג כשר ושמח.